Hey everybody, Simon Jones here. I did the visual effects on Confrontation at Dawn, as well as most of the other It's a Trap productions in recent years. I also work over at VFX Home, where we developed the hit film software that we used in this production. So this was just a little test video we did, which Christopher Puttock shot as a kind of way of testing out some fight choreography and some new technology for shooting action sequences. And I used it essentially as a way to test out some new visual effects techniques. So the one I actually want to talk about today is where we reveal the demon, which is around about here. So this is when we have the little reversal where we realise that this guy's the Witcher and the other guy's the demon, and his face goes all nasty like that. It wasn't really planned for his face to turn all kind of bruised. That kind of just came out in the edit, which is quite nice when a visual effect kind of presents itself during the edit rather than being planned right from the start. So let's take a quick look at how it was actually achieved. Here we have the original shot, which was just Chris lying on the ground muttering to himself. And as you can see, there's no makeup involved whatsoever. It was just very ordinary face. Well, as ordinary as Christopher's face gets, but yeah, there you go. The first thing we did was we tracked on a couple of eyes. So this is using HitFilm's internal 2D tracker, which is nice and quick and easy. And when I did this, I was originally just thinking I was going to replace the eyes, much like I'd done with Tom in the reverse shot. So these tracks here were used to then track on a couple of eye holes, a little bit like that. By the way, originally it wasn't going to take up quite as much of the eye socket as this. The initial plan had been to have it a bit more like Tom's eye, where it was a more normal eye. So, you can see I started to work on it here, keeping it within the eyelids, but it just didn't look very interesting, and it was far more creepy to have it kind of take over the entire eye socket like that. It looked far more unnatural. Okay, so that was the original concept for the shot. There was going to be nothing else going on here, but it just didn't really look that scary or interesting. So the next thing was to try and kind of give him a kind of digital makeup job, I suppose. And the way I went about doing this is I took a frame around about here, headed up to options here, export frame, took that out as a PNG. That I then brought in to GIMP. As you can see here, this is just a still frame here, nothing fancy about it at all. Created a new layer, just a transparency layer. You can of course do this in Photoshop as well, it's nice and easy. Nothing particularly complicated here, it's not like I'm a image editing expert or anything. Okay, yeah, so you just take the airbrush tool, select something that's a little softer in terms of a brush, so a nice soft edged brush like that will do nicely. And then you essentially just start to draw in the kind of bruise areas, and this is going to be a bit of a rubbish quick job here, but you'll get the sense of what I'm up to. So you kind of want to pick the areas where you would naturally have darker patches, so around the eyes here. You can see you just start to build up this kind of sense of there being bruises under the skin. You don't have to use it just for this kind of demon type makeup either. You could use this for whatever you wanted really, to apply some extra detail to your actor. Obviously the better you are at using Photoshop, or the better artist you are, the better results you're going to get. I'm not particularly wonderful here, so this is a pretty rubbishy job I'm doing, but you get the general concept. If I just get rid of that, you can then see the version that I actually drew, which was this. Where you've kind of got all these wrinkle lines that I added on, some kind of scars and bits of bruising and that kind of thing. If you then turn off the original layer, you just get the new makeup on a separate layer with transparency. Export that out as a new PNG, which gives you something a little bit like this. And then you can take this and overlay it onto the original. So if we jump back in here, you can see that in here I've imported the matte that goes on top. And I've linked this to the right eye track, so that's this track here. And even though that track was originally just designed for the eye, it works just fine for tracking something else onto the face as well. So if we just turn this on, you can see that that now tracks onto the face very nicely, just based off that eye. There's no hand animation required or anything like that, no keyframing, it just all kind of works. And because it was based off the original plate of this shot, it works really nice. That's about it really. Obviously it works particularly well in this shot because it's just straight down on his face. If he was rotating his head, or if the camera move was more complicated, then he'd have to do a lot more work to get it to work. And you could go more complicated with the overlay as well. I mean, I've just got a single image here, and you can see that around his mouth, as he starts to move his mouth, it doesn't really react to that movement. But if you imported it in separate pieces, then you could animate the mouth moving separately. So there's a lot of options there. So yeah, a relatively quick and easy effect, but one that is effective in the context of the piece. So yeah, hope this is useful, and go out and make yourself look really ugly. Cheers.